Welcome to this MAB Novelty. Matías Bombal with you. Quentin Tarantino's new picture, The Hateful Eight, is cause for celebration of folks who love the big screen experience, look, and feel of motion picture film manufactured by Eastman Kodak. In this digital age, the actual film seems a long-forgotten, dead format, even though digital cinema hasn't been around that long. Most theaters showing The Hateful Eight are running what is known as a digital DCP version of the movie. DCP is a proprietary file format that is difficult to create and reproduce without the correct, expensive equipment which may be found in first-run theaters. The letters stand for Digital Cinema Package. Tarantino has insisted that he shoot The Hateful Eight not only on film, but in the widescreen 65mm Ultra Panavision format, which when printed on release prints for theaters ends up being 70mm, twice the size of what had been the standard film for 100 years, 35mm. Tarantino convinced the Weinstein Company, his distributor, to fund the installation of just over 50 theaters with reconditioned 70mm projection equipment to augment the less than handful of places on Earth that still had 70mm equipment in place in order to distribute a special Roadshow version of his movie. Big Roadshow versions of epic films in the late 1950s and early 1960s were spectacular theatrical events. The ticket price was higher, programs were sold, and the features would have a musical overture at the beginning, which would start as the theater's lights went halfway down, creating a sense of theatrical anticipation. Then, at the end of the overture, the studio logo would be seen on the opening main curtain at the stage, and the movie would start. It was all part of a grand element now sadly gone from the movies: showmanship. Tarantino has a positive passion for the photographic art of film and wants the audience of today to experience what a roadshow of that era was like. In this MAB Novelty, we thought it might be fascinating for you to see what goes on in installing 70mm into a theater projection booth in this digital age. So we'll take you to the theater where the 40-second machine, renovated by Sam Chavez of Bay Area Cinema Products for this engagement, was installed, Sacramento'S Tower Theater. The Tower Theater opened on November the 11th of 1938 with a double bill: Algiers with Charles Boyer and Hedy Lamarr, and Freshman Year, a now-forgotten B picture which starred the equally forgotten Dixie Dunbar. The theater, nestled in a Tony neighborhood in the south of the city's downtown grid, remains a classic iconic venue in the city. The drugstore in the theater building gave birth to the Tower Records empire, which started there. Over the years, the theater has endured where most other theaters in the city were demolished. In 1985, I was an usher at the Tower Theater, and that year the theater had a 70mm film festival run on the 3570 projector that was brought in at that time for that reason. Once Upon a Time in the West was the first movie I ever saw in 70mm with my own eyes and in person. Even though that print was faded to pink, it was nothing short of awesome in its clarity. The movie Cocoon was played first run that year, also in 70mm. The audience interest waned and the equipment sat unused in the booth. 12 years later, the Cinemaccanica V8 70mm came back to life for the 1997 release of Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. Following that run, no 70mm has been shown at the Tower Theatre until The Hateful Eight, 18 years later. Here is an image of the Tower Theatre projection room in 1939. Two 35mm projectors and a Goldie slide projector on the far right. You've come a long way, baby. The Tower projection room is seen here in mid-2015 before the installation of the 70mm. The 35mm projector on the left had to be removed to install the 70mm on the same spot. Here's a look at the men and the machine that made it possible. The electrician has just run power for the new location of the heavy Christie lamp house and pedestal. Here, Sam Chavez attaches the DTS control track reader in place on top of the picture head. This unit will send a signal to the sound system that will control the soundtrack. Chaz Phillips assists this special installation. Sam installs a brand new xenon bulb. He has to wear that protective mask in case the bulb explodes. In the auditorium, the digital projectors on the left, 70 in the center, and screen advertising on the right. The two men have been working since early morning, with still much to do. Here's the assembled DTS reader. Underneath, the picture head where the image is reproduced. Under that, the empty sound head shell supporting the projector motor, which the film will bypass on the front white rollers. Next, the assembly of the Christie AutoWine 3 platter system, which will hold the entire movie as it moves through the projector and back again. This has been modified for 70mm specifically. Sam lubricates the shaft on which the platter will spin. With the assistance of the theater manager, Sam gets the giant platter onto the shaft. Sam rolls the third and final platter into position where it may be lifted into place, and makes sure that it is lubricated. After hours of work, it's time to switch the power on for the first time. Will there be light? Sam aligns the image to the screen more accurately by moving the projector over. The lens is removed to prevent damage from the intensity of the bulb without film running. The lamp and reflector must be aligned for even illumination. SMPTE RP91 test film will be used. The prime lens is attached to the anamorphic attachment. Sam now threads the SMPTE test film loop to align lens, machine, and light. Later that night, Chaz threads the Hateful Eight test film for the first time, testing the transport from the platter and the machine running the actual movie images for the first time. The film begins to move. And the laughter of Samuel L. Jackson echoes the happiness of all involved. At 4:30 p.m. on December 7, 2015, 70mm film ran in the Tower Theatre for for the first time in 18 years. Your pal Matías Bombal there in the booth, taking a closer look and savoring the moment. The test film comes to an end, and the installation is a great success. On December 18th, the feature film print of The Hateful Eight arrived at the theater in a gigantic, heavy-duty shipping case that required 4 employees to lift it to the booth through the auditorium. The movie was all assembled in one piece, almost 4 feet across. This was set onto the platter, and the film print was ready for its first projection. This did not occur until 2:30 in the afternoon on Christmas Eve, to an empty house. Well, almost empty. No one was allowed in aside from select theater staff and manager Jeremy DeBerg's team working on adjusting the screen masking to correctly mask the top and bottom of the image, as this is a very wide film. At 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, a sold-out crowd savored a Roadshow special Ultra Panavision 70mm film print for the first time in 30 years at the Tower Theater. It had been 18 years since the last regular 70mm print had been run there. This is an experience like nothing else you will ever see. The movie is 3 hours and 8 minutes long, including an intermission of 12 minutes. The limited run of The Hateful Eight includes a special souvenir program included in the price of admission. I am so delighted that these fine fellows, Sam Chavez of Bay Area Cinema Products, Chaz Phillips, and the manager of the Tower Theater, Jeremy DeBerg, allowed me to give you an intimate look at the Herculean task in preparing the Tower Theater in Sacramento, California, for this very special Roadshow event. Folks are lining up for tickets to this special screening here at the Tower, as many have been across the United States for this unique experience. This is a list of cities offering the Roadshow on 70mm film from the back of the Roadshow program. See it in Ultra Panavision 70, a Cinerama presentation from the Weinstein Company. I hope you enjoyed this MAB Novelty. You may find our current cinema reviews at mabhollywood.com and follow us on Twitter at mabhollywood. My reviews may also be seen at numerous outlets in print, online, and on the air. This is your pal, Matías Bombal, bidding you a fond farewell.